Well, welcome everyone. My name is Danielle Jeffries. Thank you very much for taking the time and jumping in this afternoon. I am the sales manager for the Southwestern Ontario region here at CDW, and I'm proud to say that CDW is the leading technology solution provider in Canada. We support over 27,000 customers in Canada in a variety of different verticals, and we do that by delivering our customers with leading edge technologies like Fortinet, which we're going to talk about today. Can I go to the next slide? So CDW has that local expertise as well as it's backed by our global knowledge. So we have offices in Canada, US, UK, Middle East, South Africa, Hong Kong, and Singapore and Australia. And this allows us to support 150 countries that we can support our customers at. So if you want to go to the next slide. So I feel that the thing that makes us different here at CDW is our people. We have 9,400 coworkers across the world. We have 900 coworkers in Canada. And specifically, I wanted to call out that we have 95 specific certifications that our people have in Fortinet. So if you want to go to the next slide. So CDW's approach around security is prepare, defend, and respond. How we do that is the prepare phase is really about working with our risk advisory team. Our risk advisory team helps our customers identify their gaps in their current security posture. And then our defense phase is really about implementing those technologies we deemed that were beneficial to our customers' organizations, making sure that they're implemented correctly, saving our customers time and helping mitigate risk. We also have a respond phase, which was our managed service practice, part of which we're going to talk about today. So also, I just want to say CDW can help from end to end of the Fortinet fabric, which goes from next generation firewalls all the way to SD-WAN, which we're going to talk about today as well. So I'm going to pass it off to Juan from our Fortinet team.
Awesome. Thank you, Danielle. So thank you, everyone, for your time today. My name is Juan Alvarez. I am the National Channel Account Manager at Fortinet supporting CDW. So excited to be in front of you today to speak about or talk about our SD-WAN solution. As you may or may not know, Fortinet has been recognized as a leader in the 2021 Gartner Magic Quadrant for next-gen firewalls, our WAN edge infrastructure, and as a visionary in the 2021 Gartner Magic Quadrant for enterprise wired and wireless LAN infrastructure. So with that, I'm going to kick it over to our pre-sales expert and engineer, Ben Edgar, to walk us through.
Thanks,
Juan. Ben.
Okay. Thank you so much for taking the time today to listen to me ramble on about our security and stuff. It's going to be fun. I'll get right into it. And if there is questions, I'll post them in the chat, and we'll try to get those questions answered after the call. So how do we get here? Well, what's the state of security and WAN edge as it sits today? So basically, there is a huge transformation that's occurring in the industry. Prior to, in the past decade or so, there's been move to this cloud push. Move to the cloud, get your applications, get your systems into the cloud. Prior to that, it was all about the data centers that were either at your location or a specific data center that was private to you. With that shift to the cloud, organizations need to re-architect their WAN edge. And with that, there's some solutions that need to be implemented to be able to effectively secure and provide that best user experience for those applications. So here's just some data points here. 78% of organizations currently using some sort of infrastructure as a service. Infrastructure as a service, sort of like Azure, Google Cloud, AWS, that sort of thing. 51% of organizations use multiple public clouds. And 70% of the workforce is working remotely. Obviously, in the past couple of years with COVID, that's drastically increased that number. But it looks like that's going to be the future state where a lot of workforce will be remote. And so you still need to provide that security, but also that ability and that effectiveness in regards to that user experience, making sure that they can access their applications wherever they are and have it a good experience when they access those applications. Currently, the architecture around it is this network edge in these areas. So what we've seen and a lot of our customers have seen is that the network edge, there's a lot of different pieces that is involved in having that network edge, from their security appliances to maybe their SD-WAN appliances, maybe to some other appliances for management, et cetera, et cetera. So there's these disparate management consoles and complex architectures that need to be utilized to be able to manage that for them. They also see that as very cumbersome when it comes to routing configurations, limited bandwidth, visualization, et cetera. And then how can they effectively control these applications that are not at their head office, at their data center, but are sitting somewhere in the cloud? So how can you visualize that, see it, see if you're using those applications, data is transferring to those. How do you see that? How do you manage it? How do you monitor for performance, availability, security? So in our solution, our approach is always going to be security driven. Fortinet is a security provider. That's what we do. That's the mission that we have at Fortinet. So with that is driving security into networking. So that security driven networking. And extending that approach to not just a single a device like a firewall, but spreading that information and that threat intel and that visualization and analytics to all the products and all the solutions in our FortiOS and our ecosystem called the Fabric ecosystem. But also it extends beyond that with our open ecosystem, with our fully open REST APIs. So we can extend this fabric and this threat intelligence sharing to be able to provide better visibility, but also get to the point of automated self-healing, all based around the key core here being our FortiOS. In our solution, we have one WAN edge, and it's powered by that one OS transforming security WAN. So with that one WAN edge, that one OS, we can provide better quality of experience for both users and IT. We can accelerate that network and security convergence and provide that efficient operations across WAN and cloud edges. So our solution will provide that ability to application steer no matter where that user or that application resides. It's going to be a consistent security architecture across the whole solution, no matter if it's your WAN edge is out in the cloud, whether your WAN edge is a remote user in a coffee shop, et cetera. We're going to be able to provide solutions around all those pieces. The key to it is going to be what we call our Fabric Management Center. So our solution is designed for those cloud-first, security-sensitive, and global enterprise organizations. So it doesn't matter if you have our physical firewalls or physical appliances, our virtual firewalls, you have the cloud firewalls with our FortiGates in the cloud. It's all going to feed back into what we call our Fabric Management Center, which comes up to, there's a couple different pieces that can be leveraged as part of that Fabric Management Center. Maybe that's FortiManager, FortiAnalyzer, FortiManager managing a FortiAnalyzer, so you have a single pane of glass. Couple different ways of doing this, but it will provide that ability to scale up to whatever size you need as an organization. And it's going to simplify that architecture. So right now, the traditional network has some sort of visibility engine, has some sort of firewall with its management plane, has some SD-WAN ability in a separate solution. Problem is it's going to be complex because you're managing multiple devices, multiple consoles. It's inefficient because it has to process, then this has to process, then this has to process, and it doesn't speak together. So if something happens and the visibility, the guys monitoring it aren't telling the firewall people that are managing the firewalls, you're going to have inefficiency in your operations. And then from a router standpoint as well. So this would be the SD-WAN piece. So this is where the current state of things are. In our solution, we drive that all into our FortiGate operating system. So you have one solution that's going to manage that visibility, that firewall, next generation firewall ability, the SD-WAN, zero touch network access, a bunch of different pieces. This solution is going to work with all of them. So it's going to simplify the complexity of your environment. It's going to be more agile, and it's going to be more cost effective. With that, so now that we have that operating system and the way of controlling that traffic through one single engine, that's FortiGate OS, you can now take that and leverage it beyond that. So this is where we do the policies and control what's happening. So we can provide that intelligent steering, and we can provide that reliable accuracy, whether it's encrypted or not. We can provide that continuous learning. So we continually learn about new applications out on the internet. So right now we have the broadest support of 5,000 applications. So if you need to send traffic to a very specific destination, like Google or Facebook, or Facebook Messenger versus Facebook Facebook proper, we have that ability to control that traffic and steer it and automate the self-healing of it. Our secure SD-WAN is used for hybrid and multi-cloud solutions. So it can be a strictly on-prem solution if you want to do that. It could be a leverage for clouds, multi-clouds, hybrid of on-prem, off-prem, doesn't matter, because we have FortiGates that can sit anywhere and control that traffic and see what's happening with it. So you're going to have that better ability to control in that simple architecture of one operating system to control it all. Because it's based off that operating system, that FortiGate operating system, and controlled through our fabric management center. Doesn't matter if you have two devices, let's say, that could be fully managed from the FortiGate itself. That's easy enough to do. Whether it's CLI, whether it's GUI based. We also have cloud management, and so you can do that management control from the cloud if you want. We also have an on-prem or VM solution where you can manage that. And those are called FortiManager and FortiAnalyzer. FortiManager manages all the devices, FortiAnalyzer is for that analytics. And we have the ability to have all those pieces, all the FortiGates, and that management and that analytics show up in a single plane. It will all show up in your FortiManager, and you only have to go to one spot. One spot to control that security of your LAN. One spot if you have our access points and our switches tied into this. You have one spot to go to control all your access points, your DHCP, your ports, your VLANs, your segmentation, your network access control policies. One spot to go to control all that. You have one spot to control that WAN. So the SD-WAN abilities, the next generation firewall, SSL inspection, the IPsec access, cloud. We can have a FortiGate in the cloud. So then you can control that access to the cloud, east-west traffic protection rules in the cloud, providing that next generation ability, all of it tied together, all being managed by a single pane of glass. And then leveraging our orchestration abilities that are built in and to be able to do that self-healing. And then, of course, you provide that in that solution. You also provided end-to-end visibility, analytics, and reporting. We have very granular ability for visualizing what is happening, specifically for the whole solution, but also driving down specifically to SD-WAN. We have that very granular ability to see what's happening, whether it's health of the links itself, network performance, latency, jitter, packet loss, etc. Application session analytics, you can see what's happening, what links it's happening on. You have all your links, your throughput, everything shown here, and a device, nice clean device map to see where all your devices are. And then if something happens, you'll be able to automate the response to that. We also have further with that analytics, analyzing and reporting. So inside here, we can easily see what is happening overall with your SD-WAN. You can easily see in our dashboards here about what's happening from a traffic and application throughput, I should say. So what percentage of your devices are going to Salesforce versus what's going to Zoom. You easily can identify your top applications. You can identify your top SLA issues. So you can pinpoint, go directly to that. This is the source of that issue that's happening on that particular site. Dive in and figure out exactly what's happened, and a consistent report of over time. So you can go back if you're doing some troubleshooting. You go back in time. Hey, I saw this. You get a user report in your ticketing system. That user report says, hey, I couldn't access this application at this particular time. You can go drive back into the history, see what happened at that particular time, see what happened on that link, and then you can have that issue resolved. Our solution also expands beyond just MPLS links, ADSL links, that sort of thing. It extends into 5G, 3G, 4G, 5G technologies. We have solutions around that. So if you have these sites that have very minimal requirements, and you just want to have a device out there, and so we'll call this the thin edge site, you can leverage those 3G, 4G, 5G firewalls that we have to provide that access. And then on top of that, you can leverage the SD-WAN and SD branch abilities of that firewall. With our solution, we provide a platform that provides flexibility, and you can transition at your own pace. And it's based as I said before, one foundational platform. It's based off of that FortiGate OS operating system, one OS with a purpose-built ASICs in it. You can do your SD-WAN, you can do your secure SD-WAN, and you can do your secure SD-WAN with our what we call SD branch, bringing in that abilities of LAN, switches, wireless, MAC functionalities, all being controlled by your FortiGate operating system. We have a lot of different solutions and sizes depending on customers' needs. So on this side, in this slide, we're talking about our lower end devices. So our smallest device, which is good for that remote office home use, it can handle application throughput up to 990 megs per second. WAN VPN throughput of 4.4 gigs. This is our smallest desktop model. We have 3G, 4G variants of it. We have the Wi-Fi capable as well. We have 3G, 4G Wi-Fi capable. We have ones without. So depending on your needs, we have solutions for that. Then if you go up to our 60S, we have extended that capability. So we have internal storage if you want to do WAN optimization, store your logs locally, that sort of thing. Wi-Fi variants of it. It can extend that application control throughput to 1.8 gigs. And it goes up from there. ADS for that WAN VPN throughput of 7.5 gigs. Larger branches can go up to 2.2 or 11.5 gigs of WAN VPN throughput, 200S. We have our VMs that can sit in any sort of environment, whether that's on-prem with your Hyper-V, your ESXi infrastructure, or whether it's a infrastructure as a service such as AWS, Azure, Google Cloud. And then as you grow, as you have larger sites, we have solutions for that. And these are just some of them. It continues up from this. So from the 600Es being able to do 7 gigs of threat protection up to our 4400s that can do 75 gigs of threat protection and beyond. We have larger models as well. Juan mentioned at the beginning that we are leaders in the WAN edge infrastructure. So WAN edge is really SD-WAN. That's what they mean here. And so we are a leader in this quadrant. In this slide deck, I don't have the other quadrants, but for next generation firewall, we're also leaders there as well. So because it's all based off of a FortiGate or FortiGate operating system, you get SD-WAN, a leader in SD-WAN, and a leader in next generation firewall combined into one solution. To continue on with a third-party reassurance that we could say we could walk the talk, we have 3 additional rankings. So highest vendor to get #1 ranking on use cases. 3 of the 5 use cases in 2021, we were ranked #1. You can see here, 2 years in a row, small branch WAN use case. I ranked 3 years in a row, security sensitive use case, and remote worker use case. We're leading the pack compared to some of the other vendors out there that you can see. Voice of the customer, we get great responses, 4.7 out of 5 ratings of, you can see here. So customers are even raving about our solutions. So we are a leader in SD-WAN and security convergence. We have the proven industry best return on investment. We have the ability to self-heal our networks with a machine learning and analytics, and most scalable centralized management. And we are trusted by over 30,000 WAN edge customers. I want to get into some particular use cases that you might find valuable. Here's some of the use cases that we see pretty regularly. So transforming WAN and security with one WAN edge. So we have that ability to simplify having a firewall, and so that next generation firewall, and simplifying having it on the same device, SD-WAN. So simplify that WAN edge. We have that use case of a simplified secure SD branch. What we mean by SD branch is our FortiGate with SD-WAN and managing your wireless, your switches, your LTE, your NAC, all with one device. And that could be managed up to and beyond thousands of sites. And we have a lot of customers with that. Optimize the hybrid workforce experience. So enhance work from anywhere over any transfer with our secure SD-WAN, our zero trust network access, and consistent management, enabling a SASE framework. So as part of this solution, there's a couple terms thrown out here. ZTNA, so that zero trust network access. It's a new flavor of remote access. So it leverages the concepts and the principles of zero trust access. And it leverages it and applies it to network access, remote access, on-prem access, to reduce what people are trusted and able to access by default. So older technology, once you got into your environment, it would assume that you're allowed to access everything. There was an implicit trust. In the zero trust, that is denied. By default, nothing is trusted until it's proven their identity, the device they're coming from, any sort of compliance requirements, such as you have to have an antivirus turned on, that sort of thing, multi-factor authentication turned on. Once you've verified all those abilities, it will allow you only access to a very specific application that you've been proven that you were allowed access to. So this is a newer way of doing remote access. and consistent management, as I said. Over here, we have a secure enhanced network performance of hybrid multi-cloud, enabling that secure, seamless, faster connectivity into the cloud. Enable predictable application performance. So with our abilities of and our ability to see the applications with our inbuilt knowledge of 5,000 plus applications, we can look at what's happening, see if the performance of those applications, are they performing to your SLAs? And if not, we can remediate automatically and achieve operational efficiencies across WAN and cloud devices and cloud edges. So we can provide that, automate the design, deployment, and operation of large-scale environments using a single pane of glass, providing network visibility, analytics, reporting, and orchestration. So a lot of different use cases that we're seeing. I'll go into some specifics here that we have here. So waste management, it is a Fortune 500 large enterprise, 1,100 locations in North America. What we did, we were going up another vendor for SD-WAN. We won it, of course, and we were able to deploy sites in 9 months. So all 1,100 locations in 9 months using our zero touch provisioning. And in the end, the result was they saw a 60% reduction in cost because they consolidated that firewall, the SD-WAN, and was easily able to manage it and push that solution out to their organization. Another example I have here is Rollins here. Rollins is a global 1,000 large enterprise organization with 700 plus locations in 50 countries. And what they did see was, and we were going up once again with a couple large other vendors. We were going up against them, and we won the deal, and what we saw in the end was 50% plus reduced network setup time compared to the other vendors, and their current solutions that they had in place. And what we saw was 10 times improvement in user experience. Petrol Offici. So they have 1,800 locations in Europe. What they saw was 50% reduction in MPLS costs. But at the same time, so reducing the amount of MPLS connections they had, so going to that internet connection for and leveraging SD-WAN. So reducing that hard MPLS and the cost of that, at the same time, they had a 99% increase in business continuity. And then we expanded it into SD branch as well, leveraging our FortiGates that were already purchased, and then adding in the switches and the access points and that NAC that's built into those solutions. Pediatrics, nation's largest urgent care, 100 plus locations in North America. What they saw, they went to an MPLS-free network, but at the same time, increasing that user experience by 5 times. There was a couple challenges with pediatrics and their use case because they had no on-site people, no on-site IT staff, very small IT staff count in total. So with that, they needed a solution that was easy to manage, and we provided that to them. The other part to it too was they needed this to be able to work with Azure and SD-WAN access to Azure. So we leveraged our FortiGate there, and that Azure instance provided a redundant system for their main data center that they had. And we provided that smooth failover between the two. Also on top of this SD-WAN, they were running specific SaaS applications. Voice Ring Central, so voice technology is running over this SD-WAN, and they still had this 5 times improvement. They were running an emergency medical responder, so this had to be up and working as an emergency medical urgent care center needs. life-saving devices, and they were also leveraging Microsoft Office 365. So we were able to control that traffic and make sure that that user experience and then those applications were working no matter which internet was chosen as the best path out to the final destination. Fortinet SD-WAN vision. So Fortinet's SD-WAN vision is to provide that better user experience with a pervasive SD-WAN and flexible security consumption. With our AI-powered network operations, tying into our central management, and it also provides the ability for future growth into SASE cloud, secure access security engine, cloud on-ramp. So in that SASE cloud, you can still leverage our FortiGates to access to a SASE solution if you want. We have multiple flavors, our ZTNA on network edge. With the ZTNA, this is just like our SD-WAN. This is a function that's part of the operating system. So there's no additional licenses other than buying a firewall for the client for ZTNA. Or for SD-WAN, there is no additional licenses for SD-WAN. Just part of the operating system, so no additional cost. You buy our firewalls, you're going to get our next generation firewall abilities, our SD-WAN. The abilities for built into the same firewall is a wireless LAN controller, switch controller. So you can leverage all that ability as part of one operating system. On the network edge, the thin edge. So if you just wanted our 40 extenders, that sort of thing, to be able to go back, so you don't have to buy a full-blown firewall for all your like really small sites. So you can just use our what we call our 40 extender, which is a low-cost solution to be able to provide those sites that have like a couple users in it. Tying back into our SASE solution, our firewall solution, etc. And then on this side, we have our remote users. So remote users can tie back into SASE, firewalls, etc. And we have a flexible consumption model for all this. Our ability to automate and secure connectivity to in between clouds. So it doesn't matter where you are, whether you're an on-prem and need security there, whether you're securing it in Google Cloud, Azure, AWS, it doesn't matter where that infrastructure, that data resides. We have solutions, our FortiGate VMs can sit in all those places and then provide that security between those different clouds. Provide that security down to your users at the branches. Provide that security to those users that are remote. So it doesn't matter. We can connect all of them together and secure all of them. Fortinet Secure SD-WAN leading use cases. So what we see is the main use cases that we're seeing with SD-WAN is better application resiliency. So we have large global WAN providers, and with that, they need to ensure that that WAN edge is providing the level of resiliency that their customers and users need. And so we have, with our 5,000 plus applications that we automatically detect, we can provide that resiliency, automating the response to switch between one SD-WAN circuit to the next SD-WAN circuit based off of those SLAs and that visibility that we have down to that application. Accelerated convergence. So from that perspective, because the operating system has that next generation firewall, obviously, firewall inside that product, but also it has SD-WAN inside it, you're converging the security and your WAN edge solution into one. Now you're easing that. So accelerating that convergence of security sensitive WAN infrastructure. Use case, small footprint retail. This is a big use case. So efficient operations with a small footprint, because we can do that SD branch with our switches APs being managed by a FortiGate, and that FortiGate doing SD-WAN, ZTNA, next generation firewall, NAC, everything all together. It provides that small footprint. So it's very easy to deploy, and you don't have to invest that much to be able to provide all those features to a retail use case. Efficient operations. So cloud first WAN. With that SD-WAN and the 5,000 plus applications that we can see, you're going to drive that ability to control and verify user experience to the cloud first. So if your organization is looking to go with a cloud first or has a cloud first vision, then this is a great solution for that. So we have management that could be done in the cloud, analytics that could be done in that cloud. With our 5,000 plus applications, we can see whether they're going to cloud and making sure that that user experience is great. All right. So in here, Fortinet is a leader in secure SD-WAN. So one WAN edge equals SD-WAN plus next generation firewall plus advanced routing plus zero trust, all being done, being controlled and powered by one operating system, one management. So that sums up what I wanted to talk to about in regards to secure SD-WAN. I would like to also, since we have a little bit of time here, I want to get into another slide, a presentation, to dive deeper into our zero trust networking solution, because this is a big part of it and where things are going. So I want to provide a little bit of time on our zero trust and diving into that and what it means. So a couple of days ago, we had a demo day. So I was presenting at that. So these are some of the slides from that. So the architecture changes in regards to zero trust network access. Because this is part of that secure SD-WAN, the FortiGate, the Forti operating system, this is a key element that we've also enhanced in our Forti operating system. That's why I want to talk about this. So as architectures change from this automatic trust of systems, this is kind of the previous architecture where internal branch headquarters, there was implicit trust, as I was talking about earlier, to this zero trust concept. Don't trust anything by default. There is key principles when it comes to zero trust. Those principles are verify, authenticate and verify on an ongoing basis, provide minimal access. So make sure that you're providing that least privileged access to on net as based needed or per role. And then automatically assume breach. So forget that idea, that concept of a trusted zone. Oh, they're in the office. Always plan as if attackers are inside and outside that network. So those are the key principles of zero trust. Zero trust in Fortinet. Once again, these are the key principles that we saw before in the SD-WAN portion of this, secure SD-WAN portion of this presentation. Same areas, your fabric management center. This is your center for managing and analytics and response using our FortiAnalyzer, FortiManager. That's your management. Fortinet ZTNA pillar, our endpoint access control, our FortiClient. Our NAC solutions, whether that's with the FortiBranch and the NAC built into that, or our vendor agnostic NAC solution. And our identity management, so leveraging your SAML going to the cloud, or leveraging Radius, or LDAP integrations into your Active Directory. And then a piece of that is what we call our Fortinet ZTNA, User Application Access Control. It's a new secure remote access method replacing VPN. This solution is for both. It can be leveraged in two different ways. One, you can still leverage the older, like the VPN, your IPsec VPN. You can leverage the SSL VPN. So it doesn't have to be a complete replacement, but it is a way of reducing the amount of access that a user has by default and verifying that, yes, they are that person on that particular device at that particular location, has your compliance requirements, the antivirus turned on, et cetera, to be able to access a very specific application. This is part of operating systems of FortiGate. So there's been a shift with Zero Trust. As I was saying, so identity access management, 3 pillars: identity access management, VPN tunnel for remote access, and then a network access control to control that device. Going forward, and we're not removing this piece, we still have VPN tunnels, but we've added this as part of our newer operating system with 7.0. So Zero Trust Network Access is now part of that operating system. And so it's just included. It's just part of it. No additional licensing required. And the reason why to do ZTNA. VPNs previously were a one-time trust check. Access was to the whole network usually. You could limit it to a specific IP address, maybe IP and port. But generally, it was always open up to a specific subnet and everybody was allowed access, and you would have a generic rule set. With ZTNA, you're going to continuously check whether or not they're allowed access. You're going to have that ability to access specific applications, nothing more, nothing less. And you'll be able to provide user contextual rule set. Key business drivers for ZTNA is work from anywhere, cloud journey, and ransomware attack. So from a ransomware attacks, reduce that attack surface, limit access to applications to very specific applications. Same experience, no matter where they reside, and that cloud journey. So flexible administration, no matter where that location is. We provide the ability for supporting work from anywhere. So in the ZTNA, it doesn't matter where they're accessing, whether on-prem, in or out of office. It's going to automatically create those secure tunnels to the application. So from a user perspective, it's just, I'm going to my website, I'm going to my application. I don't have to load up a VPN specifically. The tool will automatically do it for them. Easier. Single sign-on is supported, and there's no need to know application's location, but better user experience. It helps with that supporting the cloud journey as well. So it controls access to hybrid cloud architecture. Applications can be located anywhere, whether that's your data center, whether it's a private cloud, public cloud, it doesn't matter. This is going to provide that path to it, a secure path to it. You'll have that central management with that fabric management center to be able to control that traffic and that in the configuration of the on-prem or remote device enforcement points. and user groups enable bulk configuration. So we have granular controls, reducing that attack surface. We have granular controls. So in regards to the business use case of ransomware attacks, that's what a lot of organizations are concerned with, and as they should be. This ZTNA solution provides a more granular access solution, and because it's continuously checking and verifying, it's going to constantly validate user identity authenticated per connection. You can leverage that MFA, single sign-on, multi-factor authentication with tokens, device identity verified per session, and device posture verified per session. User access allowed only to necessary applications and data, and applications hidden from internet behind access proxy. ZTNet has a flexible architecture. Wherever the application is, it's going to be verified. It's going to verify user identity and device posture prior to access, wherever the user is. So it doesn't matter wherever the application or the user resides. This is going to be a central point of verifying identity posture checks. So I want to get into how it's done. It is done via FortiClient with our FortiGates. So essentially the process is, first is FortiClient is going to be sending telemetry information about what's happening on those end devices back to our EMS server. At EMS server, endpoint management server, is going to send that telemetry information out to the fabric, out to all the Fortinet products. Whether that's our FortiGate, physical FortiGates on-prem, data center, behind a client SD-WAN branch, whether it's our VMs that are in public private clouds, whether it's our SASE solution, it's going to pass that information out. And then because it's on those control points, when the client tries to connect in, it's going to pull all the information from the telemetry. It's going to pull information about the specific traffic that's being sent. It's going to be pulled the policies that were sent on the FortiGate. It's going to pull in access to your LDAP sources, et cetera, et cetera. It's going to verify that tunnel and posture check every single time. And then once it's done that and it's verified that it's good, it's going to have access to the network. Whether on-prem or off-prem, I should say. Core elements in this solution is our FortiGate. Once again, our FortiGate operating system being that central point. And to reiterate this point, no additional licenses. You have our FortiGates and our Forti client. You don't have to buy anything else to enable ZTNA. It's just part of the operating systems. Just like SD-WAN is just part of the operating system. No additional costs. So the FortiGate builds the secure tunnel, maintains user group application access tables. FortiClient is where that telemetry information about those endpoints comes in. So it configures the ZTN agent. FortiClient central management. It could be either our on-prem, when I say our VM-based FortiClient EMS, or it could be FortiClient in the cloud. We have a SaaS solution of that. And additional components that you could leverage is like FortiAuthenticator, FortiTokens, or any third party supported by the security fabric. Key advantages of our solution is leveraging existing investment in on-prem firewalls. Most ZTNA solutions are SASE only options with expensive charges for company-wide coverage. You just leverage our FortiGates. With that ability, you also have a solution that can do SD-WAN and SD branch capabilities, NAC capabilities with our switches and APs. It could be part of our SASE solution. So there's a lot of building blocks here that you can go depending on what your organization is. It's a very flexible solution to meet your requirements as an organization. Some companies want to do that full SASE. Well, we have a solution for that. Some companies want to have a little bit more control and have firewalls on-prem. Well, we can do that. But we do it all built in. So you can leverage SD-WAN, SASE, all these different pieces. Improve security. So you're not taking just the ZTNA and access to it. You can extend that FortiGate protection to wherever you are. Because that traffic will traverse industry-leading FortiGate technology. No licenses required. Simply a feature in FortiOS and FortiClient to turn on. That's the end of my presentation. Is there any questions that anyone has?
I think there's a question in the chat, but I think you answered that if you want to.
Jump over to that.
Yeah, it says, do you need to purchase FortiClient licenses for ZTNA?
Yes, so that is a key component is you need, for ZTNA, you need to have the FortiGate and FortiClient. But beyond that, there is no specific license for ZTNA. So it's just part of the FortiClient because you need some sort of agent on the endpoint and it has to be centrally managed. So you just need FortiClient, which will provide the VPN access. It will provide additional stuff, but you can leverage that for ZTNA. And then of course our FortiGate. Those are the two key components of ZTNA. Another one was how can you deploy this technology to clients who need access to a CRM host? And is it, sorry, going through here, sorry. And it is not part of our branch or cloud network without requiring each user within the client network to individually VPN in. Is an MPFA policy acceptable to this situation? Oh, this is a long one. Where they can only access the web server if they pass MFA authentication. So yes, you can. As part of that ZTNA, basically what would happen is it would the FortiGate firewall would become that essentially a proxy, a secure proxy for that access to that system. So you would just a DNS entry on the outside. And then you would be able to, that DNS entry would point the IP address to the firewall. The firewall would become that proxy point to access that application. And then you would have that ability to apply MFA to leverage the next generation firewall abilities, specifically down to that particular access. Hopefully that answered the question for you.
Looks like we got another one in the chat, Ben. I don't know if you can see it there. How do you handle external suppliers and clients access for intermittent periods?
So that one, we have a couple different solutions to be able to handle that. Inside the firewall itself, there's a couple different levels of doing that, I should say. So in the firewall itself, FortiGate firewall itself, you have the ability to have a CAPTCHA portal that would be leveraged for access for guest users and those external suppliers, etc. We also have a part of our Forti Authenticator, which would be more of a central point of single sign-on and in multi-factor authentication for those larger organizations. It also has a portal that you can access that is self-managed in the sense that user would log in, it would pop up with a portal page, the user would put their information in, it would send it over to a sponsor that would say yes or no to access to that for that particular timestamp. So then you can So that just reduces the administrative load. So the user is supplying all that information, and that sponsor is just saying yes or no to that. I believe that's all the questions that I could see here. Yes, that's everything. Juan, do you want to say anything at the end?
Yeah, no, I think that concludes our session. If there's any other questions, please send them right now, or you can also direct them through CDW. Happy to follow up.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Fortinet team. If you do have any other questions, please reach out to your account manager. We have a wonderful team here at CDW that can support you. And I want to thank everyone for your time again this afternoon. And thank you, Ben, for sharing your knowledge with us today.
Absolutely.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a wonderful afternoon.
You as well.